If you're like me, then your mom at a pretty early age probably taught you the importance of making a great first impression. Well, the exact same thing applies when you're listing your house for sale. So the good news is that in the next few minutes, I'm going to teach you the most timeless principles to make sure that when your house hits the market, you are going to make the very best first impression. So I said this before, in order for us to make a great impression as a seller, first we need to understand what is going through the mind of the buyers when they're making these buying decisions. Based on my experience, buyers have a tendency to gravitate towards houses that offer the closest thing possible for something that they can come in and put their own personal touches on. In other words, they have a tendency to look for houses that are more clean and tidy and as neutral as possible. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dig into some of these principles. The very first principle is to declutter and to downsize. By decluttering and downsizing, you are actually depersonalizing the property and helping the buyer visualize themselves living in your house. Decluttering and downsizing also might make the house feel a lot bigger than it otherwise would, and also makes the house feel much more cleaner, which obviously makes a great first impression. You want to pack up anything that you don't use on a day-to-day basis and maybe tuck them away in a cabinet or in a closet somewhere. I also always advise that you try to make sure that all of your flat surfaces are cleared off from everything. So make sure your countertops and the top of your refrigerator, things like that, don't have any extra stuff on them that doesn't need to absolutely be there. The next principle is to deep clean. I often say that deep cleaning is probably the highest return on investment that you can do when getting your house ready to sell. Whether you do it by yourself or you hire a cleaning company to come in and do it for you, this is always going to be time or money very well spent. The fact is that a dirty house or a house that is in need of a real deep cleaning is one of the biggest deterring factors for buyers. A clean home provides that sense of a fresh start that we were talking about, and this is a big thing that buyers are really looking for when they're making a buying decision. Furthermore, a house that's just been deep cleaned, it shows that the house is well maintained and that the owner takes good care of their home. Now, if your house is already pretty clean, then focus on areas that don't get cleaned as often. This is things like the baseboards or the inside of the cupboards, maybe inside of the refrigerator or other appliances. Get in there, get them nice and cleaned out. Trust me, buyers will appreciate this, and this will make a great first impression. Lastly, on this topic, if you have pets or any other things that might cause odor, like maybe smoke or something like that, anything you do, make sure that you get any kind of odors out of your house, because it's one of the first things that a buyer's going to notice as soon as they walk through the door. Next principle is to depersonalize. A lot of the time when somebody hears a real estate agent tell them to depersonalize their house, what they think that they're saying is to take down all of their family photos and personal belongings. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is to remove some items that might be unique to your style and maybe replace them with something that's a bit more neutral and might strike with the buyer as a bit more their style. Again, you want the buyer to be able to visualize what their belongings will look like in your home, because we want them to be able to paint a picture of what their life could be like in that home if we're trying to make a great first impression. I also advise a lot of my clients to remove anything that's really unique and valuable. Anything that's irreplaceable, you want to consider getting that out of the house. I always tell clients that, $30 a month or something like that for a small storage unit, but a place that you can take your things and lock them up, that peace of mind, in my opinion, is invaluable. On to the next principle, and that is to focus on the key areas of your home. When you're getting your house ready for sale, focus on the key areas of the home that the buyer is most likely to care the most about. These are places like the living room, the master bedroom, and also any special features of the home, like if you have a really nice workshop or a garage, something like that. You want to focus on these areas and make sure that these areas are in tip-top shape. Something that you can do is use really cost-effective things like new linens, new slip covers over furniture. Things like this will really freshen up the property and make sure that you're making a great first impression when buyers come in to look at your home. Moving on, and the next principle is proper lighting. If you want to make a great first impression, you want to make sure that the lighting in your house is really good. Dimly lit spaces look really dingy and small, but on the other side, brightly lit spaces look really clean and inviting and bigger. In my opinion, natural lighting is best, but don't be afraid to use artificial lighting in areas of your home that need a little bit of brightening up. I've noticed that buyers tend to like more warm lighting, especially at twilight or evening time showings. So consider fixtures that have warm lighting when you're having showings in the evening. And lastly, on this topic, this is a great opportunity to show off any unique or ornate lighting fixtures that you might have in your house. So if you have a home that has really beautiful chandeliers or Edison style lighting, something like that, anytime that you can have an opportunity to show that off, I always highly advise that you do. And my last principle that I have for you today is to make the small repairs. The reality is that buyers have a tendency to perceive small problems as much bigger than they are and a lot more expensive than they actually are. Especially if your home needs a lot of small repairs or deferred maintenance, this is one of the main things that can really turn a buyer off right away. I always advise that you go through the house and kind of make a checklist of small and cost-effective repairs, things like leaky water faucets, a missing piece of trim, or a squeaky door hinge. These type of things always make sense to do before you put your house on the market, because the last thing you want is for a buyer to be making a buying decision based on one of these small things, and usually you'll see a massive return on investment. So there you have it. Those are, in my opinion, the core and key principles to always make sure that you are making a great first impression when you are getting ready to sell your house. So if you got value from this content, please give it a like and a share. And as always, thanks for watching.